I am very thankful that so many women trust me to share their stories with me. I do not take that for granted. This woman says, I come from a narcissistic family system, with my parents being both devout Christians, very typical of the Black church. If you know, you know. I do know I come from the Black church as well. Both of my parents also come from narcissistic families, hence the system. I've been no contact with my malignant narcissistic dad for about 7 or 8 years now. Growing up, he was obsessed with religion. He would Bible thump and lodge loaded, "What would you do if Jesus were here?" statements at us. My dad was a part of a very strict Christian cult. He joined when I was very young. My parents originally went to the same church at first. However, when my dad joined the cult, he denounced the original church. He went on and on at length about why my mom would go to hell. He called me a Jezebel once because I was too anxious to go to a church sleepover. I was 9 and being with other people was overwhelming. I had and still have social anxiety. If I looked like I wasn't paying attention in church, when we come home, he would berate me for it later. My golden child sister would join in. At first, I didn't know what GC was, but GC is golden child. Sister would join in. My dad would also physically abuse me and my sisters to the point where our legs were permanently bruised until my parents separated. My mom was legit scared of us going to the public pools because she thought CPS would be called. She didn't allow us to go to the pool while my dad would nonchalantly wonder why. They would get into arguments about this a lot. My dad would come into our rooms and throw away our toys, call us names, and so forth, even yell at us for being hungry. Of course, I thought I could fix this as a child by showing him love. Of course, it never worked as I'd hoped. He's now an old man living with his elderly mom and has no contact with any of his kids, not even the golden child. He sometimes contacts my mom, and asks why he doesn't speak to his kids. Shocked Pikachu face. Not done yet. There's more. I haven't spoken about my mom yet. Needless to say, I'm not religious at all. Okay, so here's where I'm asking, what is GC? I'm like, drop the deets on the mama, and I'm asking her, do you talk to your sister? What a betrayal for her to attack you. She's like, sorry, I didn't get the notification. GC is golden child. It's usually golden child, scapegoat, and lost child. I don't talk to her either. She doesn't talk to anyone, but she is extremely toxic as well. I'm talking spousal abuse, colorism, and mixed fetishization. She says, yes, I will. It's just a lot of stuff to condense. It took a longer time for me to figure out that my mom is not the safe person she claimed to be, and neither is her family. Like, it is to the point where I just want to cut everyone off, and I will once I move far enough away. Okay, so then the next day she came back and then she starts telling me the rest of the story. She says, hi, I apologize in advance for this wall of text incoming. It's a random night for insomnia. I low key feel like we all have them moments. She says, my mom is more difficult for me to go no contact. She is more covert, and it's been a long time realizing she's the real grandest lie. She also spent my childhood as a trad wife. But she did have a job though, because my dad never bought us food on trips, and she got tired of it. She was a trad married single mother. I only have sympathy on the married single mom aspect, not for her specifically. As a kid, I thought my mom was safe because she never actively berated me or beat me. However, she never defended me either. My sisters were and are skinnier than I was growing up, and my dad would delight in fat shaming me at the dinner table. There was once when my mom bought me a big plate of cheesy pasta while I was sitting at the table and said nothing when my dad blew up at me. I didn't eat that day. I just sat there and cried. I think I went to my room, but honestly, I don't remember anything after that. The point is, she knew that would happen with my dad. She would attempt to comfort me and console me into believing her, but was never there for any of the abuse. Not from my siblings either. However, they have turned into our parents. Like, my dad could literally be screaming at us, and my mom would be playing her computer games and then appear like, oh my God, what happened, you guys? Someone once told me that maybe my mom had it hard and I couldn't see it because I was a kid. Well, I just have to say, what kind of mother sits back and allows her children to be abused when she could do something about it? I could never sit there and act like it's my fault, my kid's fault that a grown adult is verbally assaulting them. My mom did not leave my dad until I was a teenager, and even that happened unplanned. The house we were in was foreclosed on. Why? Because of, known by my mom, gambling on my dad's side, MLM scams. I know this because my mom literally bought it up way before the foreclosure. Okay, that I guess I could give her a pass on. I found out recently that my youngest sister, the one I keep in contact with, not for much longer, badmouths me to her friends and my mom. I saw the text on my mom's phone. She sent these while we were out on an event, while she and her friends were in my hotel room. They said nothing to me and instead acted friendly to my face. When I confronted my mom, she said nothing. I found more text, of course, but I didn't say anything. This is how I mean my sister turned into our parents. My mom also gets off on me and my sibs needing her. When I finally split from my mom and got my own place, she acted like going to my place is kryptonite. I had just moved in, had no furniture but a chair, and the first thing she complains is, why would I come over here and you have nowhere to sit? Of course I don't. I'm literally moving from the family home with nothing of my own. I bought a nice comfy couch and she complains it hurts her back. I invited her for lunch and she says, why would I come to your place? What am I going to do there? She can never stay for longer than 30 minutes. If I come to her and her sister's place, her and sister's place, infested with vermin, by the way, like the entire building is, there's no cure. All of the complaints go out the window and she's nice and pleasant. I want to mention here the only reason I still go over there or invite her to my place is my young kids want to see her. As they are young, they're 2 and 4, and I find it really difficult to explain that they can't see grandma and aunt anymore. I'd rather move continents and have them get used to it. And it sounds selfish, but my family has robbed me of years. My childhood, my sense of self, my self esteem, my real personality, everything is gone. I want my kids to grow up knowing who they are, not being terrified of everything. I'm darn near middle aged and I don't know who I am and I'm tired. I need to go find me. I want to mention my kid's father is a carbon copy of my mom, baby trapper, unironically now living with his parents and dodging child support. Hell, maybe I should become a cop too. LOL. She's referring to the time that I posted a video of this woman becoming a cop so she could get $30,000 in back child support. So I'm the only healthy parent. Once we move away, I will allow my kids to have low contact with my mom and their dad, only if initiated by the other party, monitored, of course. I don't even think that's a good idea, but I don't want the kids to think I'm keeping stuff from them and they have some rose colored glasses. In any case, that's in a nutshell why I'm going no contact with my whole family, non exhaustive, but I really don't want them finding out it was me laughing my butt off. She ends it with, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Also, if you ever choose to talk about MLMs, I've got stories, and I'm sure many of us do. They prey so heavily on women, especially moms. Thank you so much again, Burb, for sharing. I want to mention I saw my mom's text because while she needs to be needed, she also loves to play I don't know technology when I'm around. She asked me to text my sister because I text faster. I know this is a lot, and I'm sharing these because I find that it makes people understand why some people end up in terrible relationships. When your baseline, when your normal is abusive, then it should be you should understand why some of these women miss red flags, miss warning signs. There is a reason because they have seen couples that have been, red flags, but the mom stayed. They've seen their dad act like this dad here. They have sisters that treat them like crap. Is it any wonder why they get with somebody where their norm is toxic and then they end up in a relationship that is dysfunctional and chaotic? Please understand, I share these stories so you can get a glimpse, a glimmer into their lives and maybe develop some empathy for these people. All right, jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, share. The next voice you're about to hear is Darling Nikki. If you've been on my pages before, you have heard her voice. If not, I will make sure to show her playlist in the description. Now, you are going to hear how she ended up being the woman that she is today and going through some of the things that she has gone through as an adult. It's not by accident, it's by design. And some of it was her upbringing, and some of it was because of her family. So here is her story. Introducing Darling Nikki, or for the people that do know her, here is Nikki again.
Girl, I just listened to Caden's videos from TikTok. I understand everything he was talking about, even down to the active memory loss. For whatever reason, I don't know why, memories, a lot of them have been suppressed until recently. Actually, I think I do know why. I think it's because I finally got into a place of stability and peace. And I remember a doctor telling me that when you experience trauma, your brain will block a lot of things out to protect you, maybe from too much overload of some things that you can't handle that could break you. And I guess my brain decided now I can handle some things. I still don't have a lot of memories of certain things, but it's crazy. Like, I'll have flashbacks of stuff that I've never ever thought about or even remembered. And listening to Caden's video, it brought back some things so vividly. I don't have all of chapter 1 done yet of Addicted to Monsters, but I know that when I am done, there's other things I need to go back and add to it. There's just so many memories, and I was so as heartbroken as I was to listen to his story. At the same time, I felt so seen. I felt so seen. And it's really sickening because no, I don't think anybody's happy to know that they're not alone in this. So I'm not happy to know that I'm not alone in this, but I am relieved to know that there are other people who can understand and who can validate these experiences, because I can't tell you how many times growing up I would try to talk about it with maybe friends or other people and reach out for help, and they would shut me up and say, I don't want to hear anything bad about my pastor. He's a good man. You just like that stupid asshole who made that comment on Caden's video saying that person gave you life. You should be grateful for that. Fuck you. That person just decided to fuck, and that's how I got here. They didn't give me life. Get the fuck out of here. That person, they decided to have sex and not have an abortion. Nobody owes you anything for that. That was your choice, not mine. It was your responsibility to be a good parent. So much to talk about. I wish I could do a live with Caden. Oh my God. You know what? I may have to reach out to Caden. Oh my. So here's one of the memories that came back, and I think I've talked about this with very few people. I don't think I've ever actually said it in a video before, but there was one time I was a senior in high school, and I don't remember what happened or what disagreement we had, but mind you, we were living in the church parsonage. A church parsonage is a home that the church owns, that the pastor and the first family get to live in for free. So it wasn't even like he was actually providing a home. The church was. But anyway, that's not a part of this. But he said something to me that must have been degrading or something, as usual. And I had this look of disgust on my face, and I was just so upset. But I knew better than to say anything. I knew that when he was in a certain place, I knew better than to talk back, because even if I tried to reason with him, it was considered talking back, and that equaled violence. And I remember he kept looking at me. It's like it wasn't enough for you to basically verbally tear me down. It's like you were looking for a reason to go further. And statistically, women are violated with a whole nother level of vitriol and violence than men ever are. And my 11-year-old Caden, she broke this down to me, and I got to tell you this in a moment. I'm going to have to extend it to tell you what my 11-year-old just taught me about violence against men versus women. Oh my God. The stuff that kids are learning in school, at least here in Jersey, and how smart these kids are, wow. Okay, back to the point. I'm a senior in high school. I'm 17. And my father, whatever he said, I just know I was very upset, and I just had a look of like hatred on my face. And I just kind of will resort to doing that in writing. So he's staring at me as I'm upset and fuming about whatever. And he kind of did that jump thing like a gangster, like, what you want to do? And he said, you look like you want to say something. You got something to say? And I just remember looking at him and trying not to sound as bitter and angry as I was, and trying to sound like I didn't have an accident. I mean, like I didn't have an attitude. And I said, I don't have anything to say to you. You can't really hide that, though. And before I could finish this sentence, this Negro lunged at me from across the room, open hand, slap. I'll never forget it. He slapped the shit out of my face, like backhanded, like slapped the shit out of my face. I wasn't even 100 pounds, mind you, and my father's former military, solid guy. He slapped me across the face like a pimp slaps his bitch. And that's exactly how I felt at that moment. Exactly how I felt. And I don't know if my mother was around, or I think she was somewhere in the house, but she never protected me from this fucking monster. All she would say is stuff like, don't pay him any mind, or just give him a minute. She would always, that was her favorite thing to say, don't pay him any mind. You shouldn't pay him any mind, or you shouldn't have this, basically, I shouldn't bring this abuse upon myself, was always her response for everything about his behavior. Just let it blow over, don't pay him any mind, stuff like that. And I'm listening to all of Caden's stories and about the spankings, like that shit, that was a trend amongst black families as we were growing up. And I remember I did that to my kids one time because it was what I was taught. And I would feel so much shame and hatred toward myself for doing these things. And after a while, and thank God it wasn't a long while, I thought to myself, did my parents never feel shame and hate themselves for being this way? Because I do. There's got to be a better way. There has to be a better way. And that's what I had to force myself to get away from all of those nothing ass people and learn something different. Learn something different and learn something better, because I knew this wasn't it. This was not it. Okay, so Kaden, my daughter, my 11-year-old, we were looking at some documentaries about violence against women in, like, I forgot, Ecuador or some other place where the numbers are just really rising right now. The violent crimes against women, femicide, basically. We were watching things about femicide. And she says to me, she said, why dogs have to have those chew toys that scream and make those little squeaky noises? And I said, no. And she said it's a primal instinct from back when dogs used to be in the wild. They really enjoyed the hunt of their prey, capturing their prey, and they enjoyed the satisfaction of, the noises that the animals would make when they killed them and subdued them. And she was like, that's why even now, as pets, they have to have that satisfaction of the toys that squeak. There's still a need to be able to have that feeling of, I guess, conquering and all that stuff, because they're still, at their core, animals in the wild that need to hunt. She was like, her summation is that because they're still, at their core, animals from the wild that still need the satisfaction and still need the hunt, and kill and all that stuff that's associated with it. And she said to me that she thinks that's why she's 11. She don't even know about a lot of these statistics, as far as I know about. But she said, look at what this documentary is saying about these gangs and these people who, when they kill the man and the woman, the police officers in this other country were saying that the women always have way more torture and violence than the men. And then there was a lady that was in a gang that agreed to be interviewed, and she talked about this. She said that you had to get desensitized to seeing how these male gang members behaved with the female gang members and in murders. She watched people get murdered, and she watched that when they killed a man, they would just kill him. But when they killed a woman, they enjoyed torturing her before and even after her death. So my daughter is saying that she thinks that it's the same thing with these men, and that's why they enjoy subjugating women to so much violence. Maybe there's something about them that really enjoys torturing and hurting us, and maybe that's just something primal that is just built into them. They just like to do that. I didn't teach her this. I didn't instill or pump this into her. This is just from whatever she's learned in school and whatever she's observed looking at documentaries and looking at just stats and facts and figures and looking at people's behavior herself. And this is what she shared with me. Something to chew on for sure.
If you want to hear more of Nikki's story, you can click into her TikTok page. It will also be posted on my YouTube page. Her playlist will be posted on my YouTube page. Jump in the comments and don't forget to like, comment, and share.